Yeah. So the idea behind the subject is that I'm curious to see what are the problems and how you started with the co-working space. In the beginning, the first steps are really difficult when you don't have grants. What are you doing? What are all the things that happened in the beginning?
Well, first question, what did you do? I mean, you got involved somehow. Did you start from the beginning?
Should we set a limit of, I don't know, 5 minutes per person to explain?
Just the discussion.
Also, I'm curious, what do you define as, like, which parts of the beginning are you interested in?
At the very beginning, after you open doors and
okay.
the work is starting.
After you open doors.
Yeah. Before that, it's still interesting, but it's maybe not so interesting subject because it's regulation. So that when you buy some property, to change it to be appropriate for the thing, it's not so interesting. So maybe after opening doors, what are the problems that you faced in the very beginning? Did you have grants before the opening? Did you open on? Did you make some grand opening, some big event? What happened, for example, at your place?
We had a big party, yes. So our story was a little interesting. So before we did the space, before we moved to our main space, we had a kind of a smaller space for a year, like a temporary space. Impact Hub in Salt Lake City.
Okay, yeah.
And so mostly because our construction was very delayed, so we were like, okay, we'll open up a temporary space. We had way too many team members for that small space and burned a lot of money, and that was a problem. Other mistakes. There's so many.
What did you do right?
Nothing. No. I mean, it's still there, so I guess we did something right. What did we do right? This was like so long ago. Skip me. I'll come back later. I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
What about Coworking Unconference?
Irina is here.
So we opened 15th of December 2016. We had already a few groups coming.
When did we start, Irina? So when did you start at Coworking Unconference?
1st of August. Something like that, yeah? August? July?
So definitely a few months before we actually started, you started.
Yeah, we had to shift our initial plan on the building where we were supposed to be 2 times. Yeah. At least. We had to be very quickly to find another space and turn it into something that will actually work. So it was a stressful month, December. But we had a group on the opening. The mayor was here he didn't know what was co-working. He still doesn't, probably.
He actually said it during his opening speech.
He took the ribbon and he was like, I still don't know why these people are here and what is this.
But it seems to be working.
Congratulations. Yes, but it seems to be working.
Is he so outdated in matter of how things are happening in the world, or how he doesn't know anything about it?
I think
it's a small town, right?
Yeah.
So does the mayor of Sofia know what coworking is?
Probably.
And our village is even smaller than Sofia.
True.
I also remember that, like, we were putting together the furniture the evening before, painting a little bit.
Oh, we painted the signs on the wall the evening before the opening.
Yes.
You're also member
here? Yes.
The first member.
And then additionally, we were putting like the stickers on the windows on the outside on the morning that we opened, like an hour before the mayor arrived or something.
With freezing hands, like, you know.
Yeah, I remember that you were like, give me some gloves, give me some gloves.
Basically, we were ready 2 minutes before the mayor arrived.
Yes, that's good timing.
That sounds very good.
And we were not ready. And we were not ready. We were not ready at all because it was December and there was no heating in this other building.
Oh yeah, we had the electrical.
So the first 2 weeks the members kind of were there without a lot of heating.
Yeah, like
all
all
of
of the first pictures were the people like all wearing like coats and clothes.
Oh my god.
But you said you got started a few months early, and you were probably here constantly, like
I mean,
creating the space.
The first 12 months, I think, were just building up infrastructure. And Irina is a designer, so she is not the person who loves working with contractors that do the plumbing and the electricians and the painting and all the stuff and putting a roof on. So I think you should not underestimate the infrastructure. And the reason why we underestimated the infrastructure is because I was a member at Coworking Salzburg. I'm still a member there, and it's a space in a bigger business park. And Romy, who is running the space, she's super focused on community management and marketing and all the things that make co-working interesting. And all the facility stuff is actually provided by the business park. And I didn't really realize this as a member, but they have like a whole facility management staff that's doing the cleaning, and if the toilet goes over and if the dishwasher doesn't work. And so I never realized that this is part of the co-working. And then you come to Bulgaria, which is already a little bit different than Germany in terms of infrastructure.
A little bit.
And then you come to our little village of Bansko, and so I mean, we had to do a lot of things that I didn't really expect to do, and also women didn't want to do this. I mean, we were like, we want to have fun with members and do cool stuff. And then it was like, okay, who can do the heating on Christmas Eve?
Yeah, we had people on Christmas Eve doing the heating system. And Matthias was actually on his retreat
I
in
mean,
Turkey.
the thing is, before we opened,
Before we opened,
like,
And he was like, you should come, Irina, you should come to the retreat. And I'm like, we're opening in 2 weeks. And the thing is that, of course, all kinds of shit happened. Literally also, like the plumbing bursted. It was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
Went back 100 times.
Oh, yeah, that happened a bunch of times.
We had a flood 2 times here for some, I don't know what reasons.
But now we have put a flood wall on the door. If you look at it, so if it's flooded over there, it's no longer coming in.
So it took maybe a year to figure out where are the weak points, and where to have.
And you said you had a group ready that was going to come up and open.
Yeah,
they actually came. They actually
came. It
came.
was a female digital nomad group.
And how did you find them on the first place?
Fatem was
A friend of mine.
Fatima was a participant in one of these retreats that we were there before a couple of weeks in Delphin.
That's why he went.
And Magis, how was in Greece? The opening?
Well, we opened in June 2006. We had the grand opening. Actually, we appointed a PR company, to organize the whole thing. We had 150 people attending. None of them became a member. Yeah, they all came for the drinks and the snacks, I guess. Well, after that, I was just there waiting for the first customer. It took about 1 month of me being all alone, an empty space. And after that, the first customer brought the other one, his friend, and his friend brought his friend. And it went like this until the day. I mean, at some point we were fully booked. And then, as I told some of you, we had a big crowd of 10, 12 people leaving us all together because they formed 2 companies, 2 firms, and they found their own place because they grew too much and they had to go to the wrong place. And now we're back to 50% occupancy, which is building up during the past month.
So how long ago was it since you opened?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
It took us about 6 months.
16, I thought it's 2006.
I also the same thing.
No, 2016. It took us about 6 months to prepare the place.
Yeah.
Actually, the place is owned by one of our partners. But, we had big discussions of how to equip the place. What form should it take? Coho style, business style, kind of, kept it into business side environment. Offices, meeting rooms, conference rooms, seminar rooms, but not in this kind of idea, okay, Boho style, Boho style.
But why did you wait so long for I thought it's 2006 when you said, but 1 month for the first member. What channels were you using to find members?
Email, targeting groups and emailing. I must have sent 3,000 emails.
And you were renting them from other people or something, or you build up the? I mean, you didn't build up the email list yourself, right? Or did you?
No. Yes, I did.
Oh.
My own.
Okay. Then how did you get all these emails on the list?
From the yellow pages. I mean,
Oh, so you did
targeting groups. Let's say web developers.
Okay.
Okay, so I.
Just like kind of cold emailing. So like what not least allowed on the GPR is more.
Of commerce. Okay, I mean, I got some information where in some cases there were like professional clubs for this kind of people, or professional how they call it lists.
Mm-hmm.
I got some of them, some emails from yellow pages.
And how about social media? Don't you
Social media came way after. Way after.
And what was the message in your email when you emailed to all those people? Like, come
Yeah, I
guys,
spent
because
about 2 paragraphs
there is a coworking space
explaining what
open.
is.
Oh, so really long emails.
Yeah, long
You
emails.
say there
Oh.
much-
Not too long, okay, 4 paragraphs. But the first 2 were to explain what exactly we do, who do we service, what kind of service do we offer, why does this might apply to you.
And what was the percentage of people responding? Any replies to such email?
5%.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
These days.
That's what I was told. It's not terrible. 5%. Like 2% became members. 5%, I mean, they came to see the place, to ask more information, clarification of some subjects, and some of them finally became members. Well, after that, one thing led to another, and we kind of, the word spread around town, and became known in the area, in the town. It's a simple story.
And yours was the first coworking space open?
No, actually, it was a third.
Several.
Yeah, the third.
And how was the competition?
I don't know if the first one still exists now. I know it's struggling. That's what I heard from a customer that came from the other space. That the service is not good anymore. They're not paying very much attention to their place. They're not servicing them well. They just leave them to find their own way. So he was very disappointed and shifted to my place.
So the problem with the service is everywhere. I was thinking that Bulgaria has the biggest problem in matter of service because at the very moment, doesn't matter the project, as soon as you provide some high quality service, people are like, wow, amazed from what you're doing because everything is below low quality. All kinds of services. For example, the primary example from 2-3 weeks ago, I was like, we had a huge group of people that want to go to the nightclubs around Sofia. And I'm like, I ordered 3 taxis. And 2 taxis are coming, third one is gone. And people are already at the bar and we are still waiting for 1 taxi. And I'm like, calling again, do I need to order another taxi? And she was like, oh my God, do you need another taxi or something? Do you need 4th one? I'm like, the 3rd one is still not here, what's happening? And it's really strange that the service is everywhere, it's really terrible.
Come on, we're in the service business. We're not selling tangible goods. Service is everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always try to foresee the needs of the customer.
That's the right strategy.
It's not easy, always easy, but I manage.
I think I have some things I remember now from the days Impact Hub. Well, I mean, I think that opening the temporary space, like I said, was a mistake in one way, was that we were way overstaffed, and we could have run it with maybe a part-time manager. And we should have, instead we had four full-time staff members because we were being staffed based on our future thing and our funding, and we were pretty stupid. That's kind of really what it came down to. But then I think we really overcomplicated our parts of our business model. So like Impact Hub is an international organization, and a lot of the other hubs have pricing models and stuff like this. And so we adopted their pricing strategies based on like numbers of hours per month. And this was stupid, because whether you want hours or days is up to you. I personally tend to think days make more sense because people think in days, but then you get people saying, oh, but what if I'm here for half a day? And it's like, but what I realized through the experiment was, or through the experience, wasn't whether or not we should have daily like memberships that include a certain number of days or a certain number of hours, but that we had way too many membership options, and also that we shouldn't just adopt a pricing model based on someone else. We should do what works for us. And this was sort of hard because one of our co-founders was very like into having it be like the other Impact Hubs, because he was thinking about the San Francisco location and how cool they were. And then we also priced pretty close to their price. And I tried to tell him in the beginning, like we're not San Francisco. We can't charge 300. They were charging 400 per month for membership. And we were going to charge, I think, 300, 350. And I'm like, I don't think this makes sense in our market.
Yeah.
And so I have one other example, but to finish this one, now their pricing is like down to 200 for a full-time membership, which is good for the market. Like, and I think there's 3 pricing plans. There's like a part-time one that's like X number of days per month or per week, a full-time one, and then like a fixed desk. And these are the only options. I mean, maybe they still do day passes, but we had like 6 or 7 plans. It's like,
for sure,
yeah,
for sure,
it was stupid.
As I'm seeing sometimes options like 10 different plans to buy something, I'm like receiving panic attack. What's happening?
Yeah.
So many information. It's getting
the worst thing I think you can do, especially in the beginning, is make customers, members think too much, right? Just make it so stupidly easy for them to make a decision. You want to be a member, or like, in fact, I think just start with like, we have one membership. You're either a member or you're not. And then you can experiment with other ones as that, or change it. The other thing we did that was also kind of tied to pricing plans was we had a certain number of meeting room hours allowed in the conference room or the meeting spaces. And what I realized was like people weren't using the meeting rooms. I think because they were afraid of running out of credits. They were like, well, what if a more important meeting comes along and I really need it?
And I have no grades.
So we just made it unlimited conference room use for all members. And what we found out was people didn't abuse it. And if they did, we would have a conversation with them, which we didn't have to because it never happened. And people started using the conference rooms, which was great because it made the space look more busy and full because people were using it and moving around more. And some members who didn't really work out of the space a lot would come in and just use the meeting rooms for meetings and stuff. And so making everything as simple as possible in the beginning was what I would go back and change. Sure.
That's really cool stuff. Well, maybe I can share a little bit of how we started. I wasn't there at the grand opening, but there was, of course, some average in matter people attending. Cool event. A lot of pictures, videos, to people see what's happening. But for us, the most important thing is, because at that point, of course, there are a lot of co-working spaces, but in matter of design and of what we provide, we try to be really, really different. And in the beginning, we started with the kitchen and reception on and first floor was already done with offices. So we started small, and in the end of November, or maybe in the end of the year, because the construction workers are getting great, we are planning to open -1 floor, which is we already bought a piano. There will be a relax zone, but the key element there, it will be a conference room with a capacity of 100 to 150 people. So we will be able to host a lot of free events, a lot of paid events. I also have on a side, I have other business with networking events from 3 years now, Entrepreneurs Night Out is called. And our plans to April, because most of the building is 8 floor buildings is ours. The rooftop is ours as well, and we are planning to make a jacuzzi, to place fitness gym equipment downstairs around the coworking. So it will be one building for everything. We have kitchen, we have sport equipment, music, conference room. There will be jacuzzi. It will be really different from all the other co-working spaces for sure.
We need a jacuzzi.
And we are also
We go to the hot springs basically every single day. So
You go to jacuzzi.
but in Sofia it's different. It's not so available. And also we are planning co-working villa, which is 20 kilometers from Sofia. It's located in Kostromot. It's really amazing. There's a small pool as well. It's 8-9 meters long, but it's enough to cool yourself up. So maybe there will be a lot of events in the summer, parties, team buildings. And we are going to open in Sofia 2-3 more offices, but smaller ones for 20 to 30 people. So it's just a matter of time, small steps. I think most of the people which are opening wants everything to be completed, but having these small steps, first floor, we fill the first floor. Now the second step is go on the -1, and just slowly investing and developing the whole thing.
I was going to ask, and how did you get started? Now that we know what's going to happen in the future, is back to the original question, how you got started actually, floor by floor. You said you just slowly built.
We actually, before that, we started in Israel, in Tel Aviv, but I wasn't there and I cannot communicate much about it. But I heard that after the opening, it took less than a week and offices were completely full. But there's the difference in the community there. It's really popular than in Bulgaria, and for a really short time, everything got filled up.
How did you adapt that concept and brought it from Tel Aviv to Sofia? I mean, I'm sure you made changes to the concept in a way that adapted to the local market.
In matter of design, the concept is a little more different because in Israel, people need a lot of privacy, and it's with closed doors. It's really private there, but right here, the design that we're searching for is just like feel like home. A lot of flowers we are buying, a lot of design choices that are really making them feel great at the place and to want to stay there. But not really a different approach. We see the future in co-working spaces and we constantly invest in it.
So you have the same target groups in both markets?
Yeah. Well, the people are
crowd.
really different in Israel and in Bulgaria, but there's some small similarities.
The mentality is different, but
The mentality,
the professional groups are the same.
yeah. And it's really that, as I said, one of our sessions, our biggest thing is making a lot of various events, different events, and that's the way we are bringing a lot of new people. For example, we had Italian vs Israel cooking battle with 20-30 attendance. It was really interesting, and we captured everything live in the
What kind
office.
of event was it?
Cooking. There were 2 chefs. And you, by the way, he was cooking Israeli food, and we called one Italian, which was previous owner of Italian restaurants. It was cool battle. All the dishes were really perfect. But eventually people ate everything and drink a lot of beer, and everyone was happy. So many different events is the key, since we are in the very beginning of our development process.
Yeah, but we have the space to hold such events.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting because I've already built a community for 3 years now with that networking events. Our October meeting, since it's one time a month, I'm working with big bars, no formal informal environment, and I gathered like 200 people. It was really big networking. And the next step in that project is to make seminars, workshops, and everything came together. We are developing Coworking. I have already a huge community of people, which is 3 years old, and they're all entrepreneurship and business related. So everything comes together eventually. By the way, we can make maybe 10 minutes break before the next sessions, which are going in 3:30. What do you think, Matthias?
I think so, but maybe, Remy, what did you take away from this? I mean, if you're going to open a co-working space, what do you think you could take from this session?
I was sure you would. Well, actually, it depends a lot of what kind of space. If it's a co-working in the city, it's more oriented towards the space and the services that you will offer and how to attract the people who are already in the city to your place instead of others that will exist. If it's place like more here in Bansko or a place that offers also the co-living.
And what's in your mind? Do you have anything in mind? Any vision?
Ideally, my place, I would open my place more like in a place like Bansko, or I mean with nature around, or also a little town. So yes, you have anyway to plan the accommodation option, or integrated or external like here, but around, and to integrate it in package.
I think you have great vision, because at some point people will get tired from the big cities, and I hear a lot of people that are searching for co-working spaces or somewhere where there's Wi-Fi so they can work in the nature. So maybe it's a good idea to.
But what I note on my iPad regarding this plan that I have is that yes, I would definitely need already a group of people that would be on demand of that, and that would be here from the first day. Because we see it's very difficult when you open and you have nobody, and then one.
I think the best strategy, for having. For having people is, especially with this social media. For example, my Facebook is completely professional. I don't have any picture from a disco club. I don't have picture with food or something stupid. If you build up community on your personal profile, once you open something and you bring a lot of viral and people know you because you want people to use your thing. So when you're a public figure, in some way,
I think I expect more, and I understand it was also the case of Matthias and Uwe. They have their own network because they have been digital nomads during a long time.
Absolutely, yeah.
They made real connections already. And so, yeah, I think this is a public you already have in your personal networks. You can test your ID, the place. You can test thing before, and then when you finally open, you just invite.
And that's why I really believe in networking, because when you build the proper good connections with people, even if they are not going to use your place or the thing that you've created, they'll say other people, they will recommend you. So everything is networking.
Yeah. But of course, I mean, the social network for me goes in complement of at least at the beginning, with the physical network that you have. But it's hard to start without any real physical network.
Yeah. Well, it takes time. I don't know how is the environment in Spain. Okay, doesn't matter. There's a lot of networking events, and just there you meet people. In the very beginning, I wasn't so effective in networking events before I created mine, and basically after having huge experience in networking events, there were many negative things that I hated, and once I just had enough, and I wanted to create something mine to remove all the negative things. But my point is, you just get better and better in the networking. In the very beginning, for a whole event, I was able to meet 2-3 people, and afterwards, I was setting goals, 20-30 people, and I don't come back home. And when you start meeting on weekly basis back then, meeting 30, 40, 50 people per week, everything comes and develops really, really quickly. For example, I was 1 month ago at one conference, and for 2 days I've managed to meet like 100 people and take their contacts. Networking is really strong part in everything.
And then I think another big key of success at the beginning is the good size. I mean, not too small, but not too big at the beginning, but with flexibility of growing.
Oh yeah,
that is, I think, the main point.
And if I quickly just share a brief story, I didn't mention in my presentation, but there is also a very nice co-working space in Wales, in a small place called CUBB. And what they did, so how they started, a couple of guys just met informally once a week or every second week. And then after 2 years, they realized that they are big enough, and then they formed very nice and useful connections with each other. And they realized that they need a permanent physical location. So they just bought a building and they created their own co-working space. And that time they were like 8 people, and then this is how they built up the community. Yeah. So first they met informally, and then they realized they need a permanent location. And so they had already like 8 people, the core community.
It's quite the same story than us.
A lot of stuff start from like Tuesday co-working. They go together, go somewhere, work together, 15 people, and then exactly. And they are really successful with this kind of co-working spaces, I would say. They have already the community.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And I also think like these first people that built the space with you, they will feel the longest. So they will be your most important ambassadors. And they're like scaling your networking efforts right from the beginning.
And they have a huge impact on the community.
What?
The first people.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah, still here.
Still here, yes.
Okay,
Let's have a 5-minute break, I think.
Still distracting people the whole time.
No, you're better.
You're better.
I'm not sick anymore. Yes.
I cannot read it. I cannot read the rest.
So what's next?
One is coworking niche, but the other one I cannot read it.
No, I can't read. This is something weird.
I don't know who was writing this. This is horrible.
Niches is mine, so I guess I'll do that one.
This is
Co-working, and then
Network.
what is co-working? Something with N.
Niches, maybe?
No, not this here.
Oh, it's there, okay.
Then
demand.
Supply and demand driven.
Demand or supply driven. Okay. So something to do with that.
Format and and
And
it
it's
was
a
called
similar.
1, 2 oder 3. It means like questions for children, and they would answer it in order. They would stand like on the
Comedy,
big
comedy,
1, 2, or 3, like a multiple choice. And each episode of this show, they were choosing one child, one team, which was elected to be the camera
Is that
child.
seconds?
And you would like always see through the whole show, there would be a
Okay,
different
so he
frame
has
for the
Billy
TV,
Bob
and say, the camera child.
Yeah, and then we have walk and talk, and then
Yeah.
slideshow.
Just go off track and like let's up on
Yeah,
You know,
the
we're
camera
trying to
was
figure it out. but,
always something.
Yeah, some random thing.
Something more.
Yeah, so that was really, because they were collecting points for giving the right answer or standing on the right field, and they were getting like balls, tennis
Coworking
balls,
as
which they in the end could exchange for cool prices.
Yeah.
And back then there was
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
TV.
yeah, I agree.
Sounds old school.
Yeah, but wow, I always wanted. I saw that
I agree,
and
yeah.
realized I could have that
could
TV
do that,
too.
It's good incentive.
Yeah,
And if you
yeah.
can cater that, yeah, you can target them in marketing and you can figure out their needs definitely. Do you want to take a guess co-working as a, and then something
How are you finding the sessions?
very nearby?
You know, I'm
You're not
tourist.
co-working, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Co-working
I
as
think
a
it's
nearby
interesting.
pathway, that is
You
it.
know, like, yeah, but
Glad we clarified that.
there's, I forgot his name, from Thessaloniki,
Yeah.
and he's also co-working, but totally different than the whole rest here. So I think there's like
It's very
not the
different
same
styles
ground,
and
yeah.
approaches.
Yeah, but I think most of the people here are like this individual community-based co-working style. And I think
They're hybrid
yeah,
socks and
from
shoes.
Greece has a hard time
Oh,
getting
like
something out
getting
of this, yeah, because it's not for him. Probably maybe he's going to change his way.
Well, it's always good to get like exposed to
Yeah,
different
but
approaches.
this is my outside
sometimes
perspective. You
one-
know, I'm
Ich muss ganz ehrlich sagen, ich glaube, ich bin ein Stückchen größer.
Nicht besser, aber größer.
No one's watching our afternoon sessions.
no one.
Morning sessions were decently attended.
Oh, really?
There were like 4 or 5 people.
Wow. How many percent of the population?
No, just our member group. It's
Okay.
not public. This whole thing is
Yeah,
just
and your practice
private.
for next week's.
Yeah, it's mainly for next week's
Right,
co-working
cooperation.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She has told me about that. It's going to be exciting. Are you
yeah,
going to
that should be really
Are you
interesting.
going to be shareholders or stakeholders?
Not likely, but I'm interested in seeing like how the whole thing works. I mean, I think my perspective would be very different if I were an EU citizen. Like if I had residency and it was easy to move around. Like this would be definitely a very viable option. I guess the main thing of the whole like staying here and all is
What's
the
your home
visa issues. Singapore. So I'm still on like the 90-day in, 90-day out.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, because otherwise it's a pretty decent place to have a base. I mean, yeah.
2 years ago, I was in Singapore, and it was on the way to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, he's a collector. He has fund status on Mars and more. It turns out he has a shitload of miles, and he's also part of the Hyatt Dining Club and so on. And he hooked us up as a present with a real nice suite in the Grand Hyatt in Singapore.
Oh, sweet.
So we had a really nice time. It was really nice.
Yeah.
And Eva, she also likes it very much and always wants to go back someday.
Yeah, no, it's a nice place. High cost of living though.
Yeah, but
Always.
taxi is quite cheap. We found.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean like wait, taxis or taxis?
Taxis
Taxis.
to get around.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, there's the
Yeah,
metro
there are cities
system,
that you
the
really
the
pay a lot of
taxi.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
As a
definitely.
vacation,
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't
much cheaper
cost
than
as
like
much.
say
Yeah,
San
yeah,
Francisco, you know, or like
yeah,
even
but
Berlin.
within the
Berlin.
vacation, it's comparably
okay.
cheap. Yeah,
Yeah.
but every day I would maybe not take the taxi every day.
Yeah. I think, but yeah, I mean, it's, in general, it's pretty easy to get around. Because it's small.
I would
So you drive anywhere from rather you're off the island.
And what is this?
It's just
Coworking niches. This is something from Circum. I don't know.
haven't been back in a while.
It will all go into one direction. We need to avoid that. Oh God.
Okay, we'll get some fresh air.
Yeah. Need to stretch.
Gotta keep that caffeine going.
Stay alive.
Stay alive, stay alive. Stay alive.
Don't chase everybody away.
You are the only one I don't know.
Hello, Shuli.
Shirley?
Shuli. Yeah.
Shirley?
Nice to meet you.
And you are staff from this co-working space, or?
So I'm volunteering here at the moment. Well, so I'm helping out with this event, and then I get like my co-working stint for free. And
How long will you volunteer?
I'm here till end November. Yeah, so it's.
And where are you from?
I'm from Singapore.
Singapore?
Yeah.
And the next step?
I haven't quite decided, so yeah, I'm not quite sure where I'll be in December, but then yeah, maybe still here, maybe in another co-working space. Yeah, kind of depends.
And your volunteer job is here to support the co-working operator, the host here, or what is your job?
I don't really have a specific role. I mean, so we're kind of, I'm just helping out here because next week we want to set up some live streaming for like the co-working space changing into a co-op. So that's why I'm just testing this out like today. So yeah.
We are thinking about who could us support as a co-working space operator. And maybe one option is to have volunteers, but though we have to think about how can I attract volunteers? What do volunteers expect from a co-working space that they would volunteer? So I think it could also be an interesting topic for this.
Interesting. Because I think this is the only place that I've seen that has like a diversity program.
And we need support as operators. We are a very small co-working space, and we do it all. We as an owner do it as volunteers, unpaid, and so why not to offer this to a volunteer, and he studies or she studies and writes a master thesis and could learn about the co-working in practice.
It's an interesting business model. I think so. I was only interested, I started I guess my initiation to co-working spaces also came from like a actual not really like a volunteer scheme. Like there was a winery in France that wanted to set up a co-working space. And I just ended up going there to help them set it up.
Near Colmar?
Near Colmar. So maybe I might have told you about that. And then from there I was like, okay, let me see what other co-working spaces, because it's kind of an interesting vibe, a different environment. So completely different from my background, which is in cognitive psychology. I'm an academic basically, or academic in transition to something else. So
what is the benefit for you to be a volunteer here?
So right now I think I just help out with little bits of stuff. Mainly just this, and then I get to use the co-working space for free. They're putting me up at a flat, so accommodation plus the actual use of the space.
Accommodation is also included.
So Matthias has a separate apartment, so I'm
staying
deal. Over there. That's a pretty good deal. So and I think it's sort of like a little bit of an exchange for about 1 hour of work a day, so about 30 hours of work a month. So basically I help out for this weekend, and then I get to do my own stuff in the space in the week. So it's a fair enough exchange if I mean.
And you signed an agreement?
contract?
But yeah, they're really nice people, and I think
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, and it's a great place to like set back, like to reflect, like set up my own stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have tomorrow morning.
I would sign.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, okay, like I can do this, and it's really nice to be around the people like that are like freelancing.
You know, they
Yeah, so happy to volunteer. He's on a longer term, so like a 3 month.
Are you satisfied with your job?
yeah. So
But I'm not an operator, so I think
I mean,
I think maybe that's not.
there will be some things discussed in the feedback moment, but employee evaluation.
Well, we got the supply
And
from
they
it's a
sponsor tattoo, right? If you want to get Coworking Unconference
Oh,
tattoo,
yeah, but
they will
he
pay
does
for it.
What's
Yeah, like Julie is an assistant.
No, it's a good topic. What can you not
So here we were all like, where
Can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? Second, what is the basement?
Can you read it?
No,
It's impossible. I'm just throwing everybody. So, co-working is a marketing buzzword.
Okay, co-working as a marketing buzzword.
Is co-working demand driven or supply driven? What? Is co-working industry demand driven or supply driven? Who sets the rules of the game?
So, who is interested into this session?
We need to choose between them? No, it's one session.
No, it's one session.
And the other one is
The other one is co-working niches.
Yes.
Niches is upstairs.
More interesting for me.
You can skip it.
Okay.
You go for niche?
Niche.
Niche is also.
Okay, we skip this one. Demand driven or supply driven co-working.
No, you're right. Niche is upstairs?
Niche.
Probably we should go it downstairs because it's now easy.
Yeah, I will stay downstairs because I want
So,
niche.
we have one session only, which is the co-working niches. There is not enough events to discuss.
Yeah, but send everybody.
So we all discussing the niche
Niche,
thing?
I think it's just gonna be niche.
Okay.
Who was the other one? Okay, guys,
This is the first unconference I've been to in Coworking Bansko that has skipped 2 different things already. That just says now options no, bad options bad. All do the same thing.
They are
At the same time.
It's demand driven though.
There was no demand for demand and
Yeah. Yeah, everybody come back.
Yerine mi bırakıyoruz?
Yok, değil.
Kaplıca.
Problem yok.
Kaplıca.
Sonra.
If you sit in front of this, have a sensation.
Martin, it comes to you. And to you, if you don't mind, guys.
Yeah, or like how come in the same style.
So how are you doing?
Yeah, it's good. Actually, the audio quality is fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
super.
I can
Maybe
update
it's not a good idea to delete it then.
Yeah, in fact, I think the last session I think for in the morning was good. Maybe I could just cut it down and then like I could even
Maybe you can share it
put
in
these
the
up.
group, yeah.
Yeah, like put this up on the Facebook groups and share the YouTube
We
links.
could,
Yeah.
I could do a bit of editing and then you can see how it goes.
Yeah.
Does it?
It would be a waste if you delete it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So should we start? Okay, I only proposed the session on co-working niches because I think it's interesting. I don't have anything particularly interesting to say about niches, but
What do you mean? So,
what do we mean by
with the
co-working
niches?
niches?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the last years, we've seen a really interesting trend of very specific types of co-working spaces opening up for specific industries. So this could be for food entrepreneurs or fintech or like people working in travel or travel technology. There's spaces that are science parks and like more industrial fab lab makerspace type places. And so I just thought it would be interesting to have people kind of share some of the cool niche spaces they've seen or heard of or visited, if you know of any. And we could also talk about how focusing on a niche is a very great branding tool for and great member attraction tool, as opposed to competing with all of the other spaces that are just, you know, about tech and startups and freelancers, which tends to be the general makeup of most spaces these days.
The way I see it as niches is very limiting. In matter for example, it's really popular right now to be IT, and for example, what happens if your niche is not good in 10 years? You're going to waste the whole co-working. I think it's really limiting to be like focused on only one niche. I'm a big fan of having one colorful environment of all kinds of people at one place, so you can be secure in some way in the long run. Because if you're focused only on one kind of people, and I think most of the people won't be comfortable of having all the same people around them in the long term, maybe as well in the office. Just meeting all different people it's interesting part.
I think it's when people think about niche spaces, they start thinking like, oh, we're just going to have a space for designers. I agree that'd be really boring. But if you, for example, have a co-working space that's focused on the film industry, then you end up with all kinds of different skill sets and different types of people. So you have videographers, you have editors, you have producers, you have sound engineers, all kinds of interesting things. And I think this increases the likelihood of collaboration on projects. And I don't think it's either good or bad. I think that it's just an interesting trend that we're seeing. And I think it would be really cool to start like a food co-working space that like works with wherever people are chefs or people starting food apps and stuff like this, everything to do with culinary. That's because I like food. So
should really be in Milano.
Yeah. We won't get any work done. We'll just be eating all day.
What's wrong with Bulgaria about the food scene? It's not too
huge kitchen.
No, there is one. Isn't there one?
There is Go Kitchen. This cult is in
Go
Sofia.
Kitchen. Go Kitchen, yeah.
Yes, they are renting the place for, I think for teams. They're using it also for team building.
But it's like events, not really that you come like.
But but I think that they started with the idea that it's going to be a co-working space.
It's a nice idea. It's nice, but it's not like a business. It's not enough to. You will not be able such niches to be like true. It's more than if you are from this field and you want to open with some colleagues something together.
Yes, but there are very many successful examples. So there's, what's it called? I think it's called Blockchain Center in Melbourne.
Oh, blockchain is big. Blockchain is big thing.
Yeah, so of course, don't pick a niche that doesn't have a business model like this. You know, you don't make a co-working space for people who knit. You know, like there's no business model there.
But in Berlin there is SD. Was it SD?
SD? Yeah, they're more focused on artists and
They
creators.
are artists, and they rent studios, and they are fully booked. They are booked until like 2 years. Like so there are
There is enough, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting way to. Yeah, to have a really strong brand and stand out from the competition. I mean, there is a food co-working space in San Francisco called, I think it's just called SF Kitchen. And they have like, if you think about it, co-working kind of and makerspace is sort of formed around this idea of sharing resources that are expensive, right? Like with co-working, it's like Wi-Fi infrastructure, printers, furniture, all this stuff is stuff I don't want to buy. But especially for certain industries like food, again, for an example, like kitchen equipment is insanely expensive. And so if you're just starting out or you want to test a restaurant concept or do some test dinners to try out a new menu or something like this, these types of spaces, in the States, we call them commissary kitchens. So they've kind of already existed for a while, but they're sort of being rebranded as sort of co-working spaces for There's also ones that focus on families and like childcare, where you can bring, you have like daycare centers and stuff like this. And this is pretty popular in Berlin. I think, yeah.
I think this type is mainly for the big cities.
So I think Romy was doing that, right?
I don't know, but there was a story recently about one of these co-working kitchens where they had 150 companies using it, like the commercial kitchens, and there was a plan where you could kind of rent the kitchen by the hour, and there are 20 kitchens in the building. And then the co-working space closed down, so the companies that operated closed down. And all the members were out of they couldn't access the supplies anymore, they couldn't make for the weekend. So I think you have to be careful when you build your whole business model around a partner like this, and then, yeah, it can be dangerous too.
Oh, sure. I don't think that says anything about the idea of niches, you know.
No, but it's specifically for this kitchen thing. If you kind of rely on somebody else to build your product, and then there's no long-term commitment, it can be very risky for the business as well, right?
Yeah, of course.
And could this co-working space in the niche also be such a kind of startup?
Yeah.
Incubator, accelerator, in this way?
Possibly. I mean, I think that, like, yes, but I think an incubator and an accelerator is a very different thing than a co-working space.
Okay.
I mean, it's
something very popular now. In many Sofia, the co-workings are incubator or looking for very popular.
Yeah.
Is that considered a niche?
I mean, I guess I consider the whole startup world, and that's more like an extra service, possibly. It could be a niche, I guess. Depends on, I don't want to talk about how we define a niche, but I think that most of the co-working industry is sort of geared around tech and startups and freelancers. And so pretty much anything that touches, like, in general, that world, I don't feel is very niche-y. But yeah. That's I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to see if people have any interest in talking about this topic. So
I shared an idea with B just before, and it makes connection with the previous session. The niche can be also a start for a new co-working place, in the sense that it's easier to address when you start from zero, to address a very specific public that you can identify, you know how to reach him, etc., and to communicate with a specific image and concept, and, needs and solution, at least for a start, and then you can become more generalized if you want. But starting with the niche can be also a strategy for operating a new generalized co-working space.
I think niche spaces tend to be more popular in big city centers, because you need a big pool of people who are interested in that same industry. But like co-working Bansko is a niche, right?
Yeah,
it's for digital nomads. It's not like that's a very small subset of the population of the world. So like there aren't this many co-working spaces for digital nomads in the world. I mean, there's probably like less than 50, right? Like that are really like these nomad destination co-working spaces.
The beautiful is everyone can become a nomad for a little bit or very quickly.
Is there a co-working space for Sanko?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, one of our customers is Still Point Spaces. They have locations in London and in other places in Europe, but I don't remember where. I think there's one in Berlin, maybe. But they are a co-working space for people in psychotherapy. Yeah, and so they host. I think it's also really interesting niche spaces because it really gives you a clear plan of what kind of content to produce, like event content and stuff like this. So like they host really nice conferences for psychotherapists to come together and learn new techniques or new data and also network with one another. Especially, and there are co-working spaces for lawyers. There's a few of these in the States, and it's interesting because I think these are people who don't meet a lot. Maybe they meet at industry conferences, but if you're kind of sharing a space with other people in your profession or in a profession that's kind of similar to yours, you can bounce ideas off of each other and stuff like this. So I think it's pretty cool. There's pretty much a co-working space for anything that you can think of now.
I like this idea, and I don't agree with you that it's only a matter for big cities. I think about we are in a rural area. What about innovations in agriculture? What about innovations in fishing industry or brewing? You can do it.
Beer company.
I like this idea.
So you can have a co-working space.
Rakia is up to start going.
I always thought it would be funny if this would only work in a big city, like with tons of co-working spaces, but a co-working space for co-working managers where they could leave their co-working space and go and work.
Co-working retreat.
Close them in one room and you can do alliances.
Almost each kind of events that are organized in some co-workings could be a niche for permanent co-working also.
Yeah.
Like co-working for space for bloggers also. Like there are some events for bloggers.
I think that the better option to choose a niche co-working is only if you're in big city and you have so much competition with the other co-workings. Then you have to be special in order to succeed. Like if you are the only one in your area, don't be niche. If you want to compete with the general, then niche is your way.
There's
only in big city again.
There's also something that is really successful that I'm seeing in Sofia especially. Building communities, niche communities, which are having monthly meetings or weekly meetings, and it's getting really popular. For example, breakfast for only lawyers, or I've heard meetings for designers, all kinds of small communities, and maybe from there, if you're owner of such thing and build few communities like that, once you open some co-working space, it will be, you already will be on the position of having a lot of potential clients.
What about opening a niche in already work co-working? For example, I decided that our co-working and Sofia is very strong about blockchain. Open a blockchain center. Let's say events specialized for blockchain on weekly basis.
Yeah.
This is something that we do. So maybe a niche inside, niche inside the general. So you will still have the attraction of the guys that do that. Niche for lawyers, niche for psychologists, niche for everything inside a global co-working.
And you still be distinctive.
So you're enjoying the both worlds. You have many niche. You don't have to be only on one niche.
Yeah. Just to be specialized on few spheres.
More events, more stuff, special meeting rooms, 3D printing devices. Some have also tools. We work where I work. We have like I don't know how to call it.
Makerspace or something?
Yeah, makerspace, exactly. Makerspace. Yeah, CNC and makerspace. Wood, metal, with especially the seats there. It's niche, but it's co-working open for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe for most of us, it's more relevant like to try to find a nice niche inside.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of co-working spaces do have these extra services like a makerspace or something like this.
Yeah.
Like Beta House had a makerspace in Berlin, and they shut it down because it didn't work. They didn't have enough people who were interested in it. And I think this is there's bonuses to adding extra services for specific audiences, but there's also like, I am a writer and I do lots of writing, and I would love to go to a space that's specifically tailored towards the type of environment you need for writing, which is like, I want multiple environments, quiet, not too much visual distractions, stuff like this.
No plants and running water or something for serenity?
Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to try it out.
There is what was in Paris, the co-working space? It's only for designers, for example, for like clothes?
Clothes?
Remix? Well, they're interesting because they have multiple locations, and each location is a little bit niche-y in a way. Like they have one space that they have a lot of people working in textiles, right? Mm-hmm. And so people like clothing designers and stuff like this. So they have equipment there for things like this. They have a tattoo parlor in one of their co-working spaces, which is kind of interesting. Yeah.
For example, you've been in CUBB in Penang.
Yeah.
Networking party. CUBB just targets the creatives, designers and creatives.
Yeah.
But now we were talking about that. One of the working space in Istanbul. The founder, she said that some astrologers, like fortune tellers, they run a meeting room. It's I think quite niche.
That would be very
this is coming. Spiritual healing, co-working stuff. It's gonna be soon.
I saw it on
Yes.
Facebook.
In Bulgaria, we say
Coaching also, like maybe for coaches.
No, it's already out of the pump, so it doesn't matter. Every train has its customers.
Yes.
You know, every train has.
There's also a big trend towards wellness-focused co-working spaces. Like Primary in New York City is a big example.
For wellness, what do you mean, like coaching?
Yeah, I mean a little bit like kind of everything that fits under that umbrella.
Healthy lifestyle,
like
yoga, yoga stuff.
I mentioned even upstairs that co-wellness is the right.
Cool. Co-wellness is co-wellness, but actually, who comes there? The clients come, like or the
usually
trainers?
the providers, yeah, or like
providers.
I mean, I haven't physically been to Primary, but I've talked with the founder. She actually used to work with WeWork, so she was like one of the original team, like when they were less than 20 people or something. But yeah, they opened up their space and they have like 2 yoga classes a day in their like yoga studio, and they have like healthy like smoothies and stuff like this. And it's not necessarily that the clients are people who are providing wellness services, though I'm sure it attracts a lot of those because of the thing, but people who want that kind of lifestyle, you know, that's sort of
for sure it's a good niche because everything, the focus on everything is about work, and the health is going down.
Yeah.
Obesity is a huge problem, especially here in Bulgaria and worldwide.
I'm bringing some of your balls in, by the way, next week. The ball that he was sitting on.
Oh yeah.
You bring the 3 of these.
And yeah, it's a great niche, and maybe in the upcoming years it will be even more popular. I'm seeing from time to time small groups of 10-15 people in the parks doing some stretching just before work, around 8:30, and then maybe they're going to the offices.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Japan they do this on the roof of these offices.
This is a must do there.
Some co-working spaces, they have massage therapists.
Oh, very nice.
Who of you guys of the co-working spaces offer like sport events or something like this, or?
We can for sure. My background is I'm into sports for 15 years, and also members in the co-working space right now. There's a professional fitness instructor, so we can for sure figure something out. As soon as we bring the gym equipment, and I'll have big room in the conference, then we
whatever you like.
Yeah, for a lot of different events. Yeah.
I was recently typing in Earthship co-working. I'm not sure if people know what an Earthship is. It's like a very sustainable type of building that's also very passive, and it's, I mean, unfortunately there's a lot of like hippie culture around it, but I don't think it needs to be. It's kind of like an eco-village type of concept, and I know there's for sure already like co-living, co-working in an eco-village. And if I type in Earthship co-working or co-working space, like absolutely zero relevant results on Google. So nobody's ever even thought about doing this. And I'm quite interested in doing this. When I first came to Bulgaria, I wanted to do like this eco-village Earthship type of idea because I thought it would be so awesome to live in such a thing. But it would be even more awesome, I think, to have the whole co-working space inside. And then, you know, as it grows, you can add like another thing, and then you can make it like just basically get a big piece of land, start co-working, and then start building extra houses around it.
This is extremely successful. The business academy that I graduated recently, there was a guy who opened something similar, and he continues to building it slowly. So it's like he's promoting it, like come in the nature to see how great it is to work there. And they're making games. They're making a lot of interesting activities. They're doing also team buildings there, and it's really successful.
Is it in Bulgaria?
It's Bedouin. Yeah, the project is called Bedouin.
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 Like Bedouin.
Bedouins.
Like the Bedouins, right?
Bedouin. Yeah. Let me double check.
But where is that, you said, in Bulgaria?
In Bulgaria.
Oh, sounds pretty cool.
Has anyone heard of Selena?
Uwe, you seem like you lost the class
Yes,
now.
which does glamping.
Because of the Bedouins.
Like I think other
Bedouin,
Bedouin fashion.
like penguin.
What?
Sorry.
You guys talking about the
I'll write it down maybe here. Whoa, that was close.
But the niche is also, okay, so one part of the niche co-working is for specific professions, right? Or like organic business. But the other niche type is with specific interest or needs, right? It's also niche. So a co-working space for mothers or for people with kids, it's not niche to their professions, but to their needs, right? So this is also niche?
Yes.
Okay.
I think also like the pets, some co-working space where they,
So yeah, this is Bedouin in the green, and it's extremely successful. It's full of events.
There's you heard of Kinky Works, yeah?
Oh
In
yeah.
Berlin?
Kinky works in Berlin.
For kinky people.
Oh my god.
Oh really?
This is the kinkiest place.
I think museum is not a co-working.
They're actually pretty cool. The woman that started it,
She's cool.
she used to be in the finance sector, and at 50, I think, or 45, she decided she's up to here with finance and
To
whatever.
tell you the secret, all of the customers of the Kit Kats and the CUBBs
Yes.
are from the finance, from the
And they have,
Yeah.
and they have.
Not that I've been, but.
It's a very cool space. They have video, like they do like videos. They have all the things like a rope and stuff.
It's
crazy.
Like right there, the key.
No, but it's Kinky Works. Yeah. Very interesting.
And that's also another one that's like
We're
a
going
lifestyle as opposed to a profession, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Do they actually work there?
They make all kinds of stuff. I mean,
Kinky, they make like kinky
like-
stuff, or they do
yes.
their normal job?
I think
No,
they also work from there.
Listen. A lot of people in Berlin are doing like latex stuff, right?
Oh,
Latex
yeah.
in Berlin.
we are going on.
We're going on a.
Maybe we're gonna
Go
talk
to the
to
live
the
stream.
This will be our first partner.
We're just looking at it, the kinky works.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it, yeah.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
So here's the lady with the ropes.
I think we have a destination.
Next place to go.
We should have started with this.
Where was it you say? I'm asking for a friend.
Berlin, right?
Of course, just Berlin, it will work.
Maybe also in Scandinavia. So.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the niche spaces is that it kind of removes the idea of fear of competition. And it makes people cooperate, no matter that they might be competitors if they are outside this space, right? So it makes it more, I think.
I think it solves a lot of your marketing problems. Because if yours is a space for kinky people in Berlin, that's where you're gonna go.
Maybe
right?
the best destination is Amsterdam.
Yeah.
With the kinky stuff, why were you pointing at me exactly when you
Everybody
They have a signpost outside saying no tourists.
It's must one.
Actually, there is an organic kind of co-working space that's been going on for tens of years. Music practice studios.
Yeah.
Like a co-living as well.
It's completely co-working.
Music studios.
Practice studios. They have like 10 practice rooms, people practice, and they know each other, they form new bands, they collaborate, everything.
Co-working for musicians, it's a good idea.
Oh yeah.
It's a better idea, they have no money.
Co-working for YouTube.
YouTube
Yeah, these will be like
bloggers,
crazy.
They have one in
They can
Chiang Mai.
cooperate. They can.
And they have huge
We started
communities.
a space for influencers.
Yeah, in Chiang Mai there's one. I'm sure in the US there's plenty of like
There's one in
studios.
Like all the influencers.
Influencer
now.
in general.
Influencing
Yeah,
industry.
God,
That would be an awful place to be with all the
Yes,
influencers
we
are
will
so
not go
full of
there.
That'd be the
themselves.
most annoying.
Everybody influencing each other. Too much influence.
Everybody's doing a walk
They're all
around
Yes,
usually at
with
the same
like
time.
I think there should be rules. There will be rules.
This leads to a burnout.
What?
No, what was the
Burning Man?
Burning Man event?
No.
Burning Time?
No, we were talking about
Right, I have an idea, it's which one? Co-gambling.
too much.
I think gambling is already going on.
Community
They already
burn?
figured out this coworking.
Yeah,
Community burn.
You know, in co-working, we did like a kitchen which is an island, and we had just last week very cool event. I'm also into the food and cooking.
I already mentioned it.
I already mentioned that.
We had a cooking battle, yeah, Israeli with yes,
Italian, yeah. Guess who won?
Only they understand. Only they understand. Oh.
Stupid jokes again.
I don't have any more thoughts on this. Just that's pretty interesting.
What about like the I think I read the news about it, it's in California, co-working space special for women.
For women?
Oh, yeah.
The wing?
I want to be in the
There are a
co-working.
few
There are a few.
around the world, yeah.
But don't try to start a co-working space for men because
No one will.
they tried it in Australia and they got shut down.
Sure. And let me think what happened with the women.
Shut down by government or just do a background?
They just they got tons of bad press, and I think it just affected their brand and their bottom line. And
Of course, but with women, no one says nothing.
Yeah, this is terrible,
Yeah.
I said that, oh, no, man club, oh, very bad.
Co-working for midgets.
Oh.
You can even split.
Well,
You
why
can
not?
split the levels. You can make it like really financial.
I feel like this is very
This is going very, very wrong. So I will stop you right now. Because
It's a real estate effective. Imagine every floor becomes 2 floors.
Yeah.
just
There's a lot of financial.
Business efficient.
Totally. You can imagine how many midgets can do a conference here. Tons of midgets.
but if all of your people just stand up working, they will also be much more space for many more people, you know. So
No,
what about
midget is
standing
good idea. Sleep on it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Now
You need a co-working space for Latino music.
Oh,
no.
I'll be there.
All for
Good
people
idea.
like dancing, like
What you're dancing is
salsa and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think we need the opposite. I think we need a code not working.
Party co-working.
Avoid working.
Co-party.
Co-lazy.
It should be on some kind of private island. This is where
Even
you go
better,
for
even
co-
better.
Greece.
not working.
In Greece.
Not working.
Co-anti-working.
Has anybody heard about Mokrim House in Serbia?
No.
Yes. They have this niche of like the global village. This is kind of their marketing thing.
This
Where
is the
they're
land
like
that they
in
think
a-
that they are like.
In a village, but they want to attract like a global community to it. And,
They're really good at SEO because when I was in Romania, I was searching co-working spaces in Cluj, and I saw their ads.
Yeah, I mean they had a huge amount of funding with like family money or something like this. I went to a presentation from the founder.
Have you guys been there already?
Do you have an idea?
Just stay there.
I've not been
I
to the Mokrim
visited.
House, but I want to.
Ivan, his father.
I visited. I know Ivan, the CEO, and I know his father.
Okay.
I don't know everything. So something.
In Bulgaria, it's maybe a good need because there's so many
villages,
empty villages, and the market is huge. For example, saying to someone,
Actually,
no
it's a
working,
good-
no
it's-
working
no,
one way.
It's a good idea to take like almost abandoned village or even abandoned village, and the whole village make it. It's a great idea actually.
I see the problem is, like, what do you offer? I mean, like, I think the environment is very important. Like here, this is a village as well, right? It's like 8,000 or 12,000 people, depends who you trust. And so the thing is, like, but what does it offer? What does the environment offer? You know, like
just in a nature form, one wants to like a month, like in peace, still do some internet and work, but to be, it's for people who would like to get away, and there are many people.
Yeah, I can imagine it works. You know, here it works because there is a skiing
during the weekends.
Well, I think it makes sense because there's a lot of people who come to Bansko who don't ski, don't hike. They just like being next to the mountain and being in the village and having a community of people. So
absolutely,
there's definitely more people like that. Like I am one of those people.
Yeah, I'm one of those too.
Yeah, it's beautiful during a week.
No, it's a good idea. It's a very good idea. Take a village, someone is there to do like services,
like
to clean, to do this,
It's often very
and then make the whole village
it's still connected to the grid as a failover, but
working for living.
And put the pirate flag. We took the village.
No, it's saving the village. I'm sure you will have also governmental support for
and in Bulgaria, there's like a law that says if it's been abandoned for 5 years,
absolutely,
or it's abandoned, you go there for 5 years, it becomes your property, right? Something along those lines.
7 years.
Yeah.
And then you can be the mayor and the sheriff.
Actually, I think there's
no
there's a place in
overruling.
Bulgaria.
I am the law.
I'm sure in the US there's a place that has this, where there's one resident and she's automatically the mayor. Therefore, she calls her son.
It will be
to power.
funny someone to ask you, what do you do? I own a village. I'm the biggest guy there.
There are some village like this in Italy also.
Yeah,
For one person.
With the same issue?
Yeah, same in Switzerland. I think there's also a law if a certain area is not claimed for a certain time, you may claim.
Yeah, I think this might be important as well. Like, I mean, you guys from Sofia, right? So you must see plenty of like next to like these. Well, not skyscrapers with big buildings, and there's like this like
small house.
Not even small house.
And pigs around.
Live there. Like a piece of land that's totally unused and it's clearly been unused for
but this
10
one
years.
is expensive.
And
we're talking about remote, like at least 1 hour somewhere in the mountains, like a village that has a river next to it, and you can take the river and build a pool out of this river.
He's already.
By the way,
it's reality. It's like there are many beautiful villages, but there is no work. But with the internet, you can bring the work.
That's the point.
There's
I've been in a place that is quite
like this.
It's Novento in the Azores. So what they sell is nature and co-working in a beautiful surrounding, with working with a view on the ocean, having the volcano just if you look back, you can hike the volcano from the place in 45 minutes. But how do you get there? I think this is the main problem. Why they don't have people?
Reminds me of Pompeii. Maybe that's the reason there's few people.
These places are far
if
from
you have a
train
big
station,
network,
from airport, from everything.
So Bansko is 2 hour drive from the airport. So
there's another really interesting niche that is getting filled up slowly that I heard of some projects. Many people are living in the big city, especially here in Bulgaria. Whole Bulgaria is located in Sofia because all the opportunities, everything happens in Sofia, and they're providing escape for 1 week or 2 weeks or even a month to go to the village and see how people are living there and do activities that people in the villages are doing without internet, without anything.
Where will we get the milk for the coffee, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, upon the milk, can we wrap it up there?
Okay.
Who wants to wrap it up?
The owner of the subject. Who wants to milk?
Thanks for talking about niches.
Before we wrap it up, okay, just one question. Do you guys know about meetups?
Yes.
Yeah.
Meetup.com, yeah.
That would be a niche. I mean, I had a couple of meetups in Thessaloniki. There's plenty of them. Digital analytics, Toastmasters, philosophy, Photo Salonica, who chose this book, Bitcoin.
It's more of a marketing thing.
There are a huge amount of communities.
I had a couple of these groups using my multiple purpose room, which accommodates maximum 20 people. So when they grew, they went. They couldn't accommodate. That would be an issue. I mean,
just
It's an
hosting
offering
meetups?
conference.
I mean, I think that this could be an interesting way to expand. Like you test out the concept in an existing space. There's too many people showing up. You start a space just for those people, and you can
or some of these
expand
people,
niches.
some of these people would be potential members of your club. I mean,
but then it's more of a marketing strategy, not necessarily a niche.
Did you do it for rent or for the exposure of the co-working space, these events?
more for the exposure.
More for the,
More-
if it's free.
These meetups work with contributions. I don't charge them.
They don't have
just contribute something to the
like monetary contribution. What type of?
And
Are they
voluntary
donating?
or
They have a common
CAS.
Yeah, CAS.
Like a piggy.
Yeah.
There.
Okay, closing thoughts.
Thanks for talking
This is
about
closing
these
thoughts.
guys.
Thank you for bringing them. It was a good niche.
It's a very niche topic. So can we just announce quickly what's happening?
Yeah, I was
after
going
the
to say the same
But
thing.
this is, if you want, let's combine it also, because the website thing is very small.
No, this is a huge topic.
For the last one, maybe.
What's the topic?
We need to talk about this. So
one is like, how do you go about the problems?
How do you
Go about the problems? You know, like you run into problems when you run the space, right? And how do you fix those problems? How do you do it? You know?
Let's say that's physical problems, and then people don't even know that they have
And
the
this is the
problems because
website.
their website sucks.
The website. So who wants to see the website? How to better the websites? Who? Okay. And who wants to know how to solve the problems in a co-working space?
So we should split.
So we should split. So I think there was less for the
upstairs is
second
the
one. So
problems.
the problem solvers are upstairs.
Can we just go upstairs? I mean,
We've been downstairs the last like.
Then you choose the wrong topics.
because
We have a
we're
break
for the whole
now.
sessions, we're.
We have a break now.
Let's just see who ends up upstairs.
You're on the website, right?
I am the website. But I guess I will come back downstairs. We're just taking a break.
Website building improvement or solving problems?
I see you're still smoking.
Yeah, I saw it now. I saw it.
Genau, jetzt kann man da drinnen gehen.
Yeah, both your mouse in Serbia.
No, I'm actually. Yes, we're never kind of thinking that some things that we share with you guys. Yeah, like a bit of a protocol. Some friendship skills.
This is why you were not like part of the conversation.
But I'm also mostly here to learn and listen from what people are, saying.
We were talking about that because we were talking now to Suma and so on. I think this part should be executed on now if we make it like. We were taking notes about the different chats and everything, and the part where you were talking about the hypothetical alliance.
The alliance? Yeah. We can start on pink draft.
Yeah, but no, I mean, if we're gonna publish some content soon, I think this part of the alliance is gonna be. Now skip, better not to show to the people yet. Okay, that you don't do it at the end, or you think you would like to be transparent also with that, we're gonna be talking about that.
I think we should be transparent also with the alliance.
Yeah.
So this is my opinion.
I can write a little bit about it.
Yeah, nothing too hard. Nothing too hard. Actually, we want to propagate this thing. We want, so we will get offers to join the alliance. Not that we need to get to the conversation. But also as the other guys, yes, this is just me. The liquid is very interested in all the walls and also the guy from 24/7 calling.
Yeah, I think you should go ahead with it, man, and try to understand each other.
As you said, also share problems, ideas, innovation.
The customer says the minimum. It's not really useful, not really propagated. It's only nice to have.
Another thing is also great time consuming, right?
That's gonna be all almost without putting on.
Yeah, I love the idea of having some
agents.
Yeah, some premier or whatever who will be right passing by every co-working to be making the
It's a great job. It's a great job. Maybe we can offer it to you. We had a plan upstairs to make like alliance. Never mind. So we have a plan to make alliance between the co-working. We do the co-working that are part of it. Everyone chooses to give some benefits. Very minimal. It can be one coffee, or it can be just free stay in the co-working, or free stay in a neighborhood hotel. Everyone decides what to give, but it's part of alliance. And we share information. We share not just members, everything. And for joining more other co-working alliance, we need to find like ambassadors, people who will go on the expense of the alliance, destination by destination, city by city, stay at work and try to few workers everything. Try to get them inside, get them inside the alliance, at least at the beginning until they come to us. So this is what we discussed. Actually, we almost all other guys didn't like it, but at least they didn't share. So the first step will be to look for such nomads who are willing to travel and test the co-working testers, evaluate. And then really truly if they see there's a co-working in the community is suitable for our lives, offering him to join. There is almost no cost for joining. It's just a matter of you need to keep and respect other co-working members, contribute to the community of the co-workers. So this is what we concluded in the session about.
Who was there now?
That was we have the link.
Hans is from Bavaria?
Yeah, but Hans didn't
Yeah, that's Hans, yeah.
Hans
Yeah.
didn't want Hans this, he didn't want this. Who else? No, who else? Martin was there? No, Martin wasn't. It's like the four of us. Just something we can see later on, maybe on the breaks. We are to just do some rough ideas what they're going to do. Co-working alliance, maybe they don't the right name. We understand exactly immediately what it is. But we need to look at the example of the one in Indonesia, what they did, and also the European what they did. It could work.
This is what you said, that there's something co-working organization.
Yeah, but I think it's more political. It's not like the use of co-working spaces. This is what I think, but I don't know all of the details. But the Indonesian one is a good example. So we should learn from it. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know there are 200 co-workers in Indonesia. I know only one.
Maybe in Bali and so on, we should be up to that now. The rest of the country will be.
Too hot. No, not too hot. Because of the army, I cannot go to such countries. But never mind, we can study. They are even after you serve, you sign up a paper that it's a bit too risky. I have other passports, but it's too risky. That because of my accent, they will send it to me, and then they might. It might create problems. No, but this might don't let you go out there, keep you a little bit there, and then political work has to be done. It's bullshit, yeah. most of the chances that you will not have that. But I say that I cannot go to Egypt, I can go to Syria, Lebanon, Tunisia, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, a lot of countries. Like I think in So something like this, if you want to do, or think about something that you would like to do as ambassador. Crazy job.
I mean, sorry. Yes, no, it sounds, being on the road and testing. Yeah, and then sharing and writing and giving thought what's between the bytes and those spaces and getting a sense for what's going on. Definitely. I think that, I mean, for me, that'd be, for example, an interesting way of, getting your foot in the door with like, I don't know, reaching out to people, understanding the network and all that. So win-win for both sides, really.
And I think you're suitable because I yesterday, 2 days ago, already like you look native, you have a good connection with the people.
I mean, I'm not native to co-working, but I've moved, I haven't permanently lived anywhere in a long time. I've always worked on the way, it's just, I don't hang out in co-working space because until now, having been a student, I just wasn't able to afford it. But I've worked really independently in lots of places for the past 6 years. So it's not like I'm new to that concept, really.
I cannot be like this, but I think whoever it is, this is truly the dream job. Speak with other people. Actually, it's not a position for one guy. Actually, it's open for whoever is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely, of course. I mean, but no, so it's definitely not like that's a complete rocket science. It's just I've made it work otherwise. I mean, I've also had some of the synergies that are in places because I just wasn't exposed to it. But I've made it work in my own way. I've just winged it. So what session is where?
This is the website one.
Improve your website.
No, which one do you want?
What?
I don't know. What's the other one?
How you go about solving problems?
Problems. Ooh, problems. Problems, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Beş ayda şey oluyorsun abi. Oluyorsun. Siz de
Yeah, I saw that too. And I was just like,
Some expensive stuff.
Ooh, cut the letter.
When we need some new coach, it's not up to them because most of the swimming coaches are like outdated, they didn't treat enough. Let's proceed. Yeah, it's a small tip, but once you know it, it makes a difference.
Remote or the
Oh, you're going to show up back websites?
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. Stay with us. By the way, there's some wine bar at 9 in program.
Yeah, you see us wine bar. Because like we're doing that.
Okay, we start?
I just wanted
to pull up an example. So someone in the co-working leadership Slack channel, there's a Slack channel for mostly I think US bases, but there are quite a few international ones now. Occasionally people post questions in there that are useful. And this woman posted a question asking for someone to give feedback on her website. And so there are lots of co-working spaces out there that have great websites, and there are a lot who have really terrible websites. And I just wanted to use it as kind of a reference, so we can kind of like discuss things that are wrong with it and things that should be improved. I already gave her my feedback, but I'm curious to see, like, hopefully this can be like an exercise about our websites and things about it.
Can we really take our websites and not just someone else's, so we can use it?
Yes, of course, but I think we should use one.
Are you already constructed?
No, this is somebody's actual website. It's not. No, this woman asked for advice and feedback on her website, so it was going really bad. So I thought that we should use it as an example of a bad website. So I'm not going to try to stay on the way here, but immediately, what problems do you see?
The 3 months already, cheap.
The first message is become a member.
Yeah, you don't know why.
That's wrong on so many levels.
You don't see the ground. It's this thing that is the smallest.
Yeah, so I think one of the a big mistake here, and I've seen other space websites make this, is that even if people are familiar with co-working, they haven't really given your value proposition yet, right? So I don't know who's in your space. Why should I join your space? What's your pricing, right? Of course, I'm not going to become a member right now. So I told her that she should move a link up into here so it's always present, so someone can join now if they want to, if they just want to find it. But then obviously it makes sense to have a call to action like this, not the lower price.
By the way, when did you give her feedback?
A while ago.
Maybe things won't happen. Apparently.
No, probably. So, but I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was like in the last few weeks. But I mean, they're like a charity also, so they probably don't have like a web designer. So things are slower. So
they're also using. I saw at least four fonts here, or even 5 fonts. Yeah, it's.
This is I'm growing.
You should use like 2 or maximum.
Even one with its options, but it's totally different fonts and style. The one with the free there, the one with it's not doesn't look good.
Yeah. That is polishing.
Yeah, everything is polishing.
The other thing is, I mean, I think spacing is always something to play with, but we don't want to get too much into like. I know. The other thing that's really missing here is like these are the only pictures on the website in the space, and they're really small and they're not expandable, so I can actually see what the community is like or who works there. Most co-working spaces, it's kind of cliche. Most websites now start with a big banner with pictures, but I don't think this is a bad thing. I think you show off the space with a video or something like this. I also think these are largely irrelevant. Like opening hours, these can just be on the bottom of the website.
They should actually be written there instead of doing this amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's also it. So I told her like it's redundant information, but also let people discover. Like I can scroll. I don't have to have like anchor links that drag me down the page, right? There's a testimonial in here. I think the lesson is don't use bad testimonials. I work from 55 East 4 days a week. It's a very friendly crew. The space needs a bit of work. But the service is top notch.
Actually, I like it. Actually, I like it because it's true.
Yes, it's true, but the only thing perspective is going to they don't maintain the space for good. Interesting. So, like, just.
Yeah. But they didn't cheat on the reviews.
At least they didn't.
It's a nice thing.
Affordable rates. This is. Just show me the prices.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's redundant, right?
Yeah.
Super fast Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Either show me the speed or don't tell me. Like, what is super fast to you? I don't know. Is it 30 megabits? So accessibility, I think that this could be solved with a map. I don't care about, I don't need to know it's within a 10-minute walk to some train station somewhere. I want to know where it is. So
something that also like what is
No, it's a famous elephant in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, from the bench. Other stuff in this line, I mean, obviously, we can't be too nitpicky about design. People have limited design resources, so like, their quality may vary, but these basic things, I think.
Here are the prices.
These are the prices, and I think what's confusing here is that they've used icons that are related to stuff up here.
You need to go
So
back.
just tell me what it is and use bullet points, because I just want to read really fast. Also, this is more of a business modeling thing, but the opportunity to receive mentoring from highly skilled mentors, this like almost never really happens in a co-working space. It's something that usually doesn't happen. Let's see. Do you guys have any other feedback here?
The last section is for flyers, not for the website. You have nothing to connect with the main page.
Yeah, so this is for an upcoming event. So yeah, lots of feedback there. I think that those are kind of some of the main points. But the biggest thing that I think about when I'm thinking about a co-working website is someone has just gone through your marketing funnel, right? And they're now on your landing page. So the goal is to give them the most essential information as quickly as possible so that they can make the decision to join your space. So overwhelming them with text, like this is too much, borderline too much text, information that's scattered around. Things should follow like a very basic flow, right? The first thing I want to know as I'm looking at the co-working spaces, what does it look like? Are there pictures of people so I know that people actually work there? Who are some of those people? So some testimonials. And then I want to know pricing alongside amenities. And this gets a little bit back into like the pricing models. Too many price plans that people have used. Don't have too many, but also don't make them overly complicated with all these like asterisks and like, and you can get like a 5% discount if you're one of these people, and then like keep everything super simple, and then you can have an FAQ section at the bottom if people have like further questions. So I like the way that journalists, like I don't write like a journalist, but I like the way that they look at information, whereas the most information, more information should go to the top, and then the more obscure, detailed information should go all the way to the bottom for people who actually want to read it. But now, if you guys want, we can kind of like look at
Let's do, but be gentle. It's not professional. I've been it's not professional, so I'm a bit afraid, but okay. Networking, not space.
It's
Errol, maybe I should show them the ICO looking project.
Yeah,
just for fun.
Don't get flattered. Don't get flattered.
I'm curious to find out. It's not networking related, but it's about events. I'm curious to see your comments about the website.
Let's focus on co-working. Yeah. Okay. Nice big banner image. Is there a privacy section and GDPR section? Yeah, and an imprint section.
By now, the pictures also, I took photos of them, so everything is not professional.
Nice.
Well, from a search engine optimization perspective,
There is no word there where.
I mean, like without the first scroll, you're supposed to have at least
Immediately you see.
an essence of what you do.
Like add a text to the first, add a text to make the image on different resolutions or normal resolution without, it looks like you see also the bottom line, but there is a fix here that I don't know how to do. So immediately you see the bottom line. I'll find a solution.
Yeah, so this is also, is this text or is this an image?
No, it's an image.
So you want this to be text, overlay on an image.
Okay, you're right, you're right.
H1 tag.
Put co-working together.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation.
It's official. Who was it?
It's at least it's not dashing.
It's space working.
So there's a space in between.
I will tell you what it is, because of the logo, like the word space is outside this beautiful globe, so everything is together, but the space is always outside. Okay, so this is it.
So one missed opportunity here is that you should really show people.
People on the first one?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like a funky startup picture or like an event. It can be professionals because you're based on your target audience. But who is your target audience want to see?
Okay, what if it will move automatically in the second picture and be like people? Because the First one, we want to reach luxury, like a bit. It can be luxury. Me and all of them, we're not very beautifully certified, so. Good for the people first image, yeah.
That's like
Okay, you want.
I'll write it down for you.
Cool. I think that when we're on a very large screen here, so we shouldn't judge the text size.
The resolution is very high, or
the resolution is really high. Yeah. So,
can you make it smaller, make it more normal? Okay, doesn't matter.
I think like this.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's fun.
Doesn't matter. Keep going.
No, but this, what is it?
This is a bit of a weird.
It's readable. You can read it.
Wow.
Like it a little bit bigger.
Why is it here?
It's SEO. I put it there, so it will be show up in the software coworking. This line is picked up.
Okay.
This is the main reason.
I feel like the message doesn't really jump at you, when you have that little part, like the name. I feel like the message could be communicated more clearly. What you want people, like what's the benefit for people? Like you want to think of the stupidest customer possible, and want to take them by the hand and have them there. So I think that makes a more clear message.
You have anything on different headline?
Not right now, but maybe something.
Modify.
On one hand, I think you might be making the ask to really good, because I don't think they really know enough about the space. But it's also one of those things that you can repeat, like.
To put the gallery. Link.
Yeah. But I think like I like that your testimonials are next to your call to action because. But yeah, like on this first page, I definitely need to see people. If you could add the photos of the people who these are from.
I can.
Yeah. And what about pricing? Okay.
Maybe the gallery.
Let's see. Is this really the size of the
Big bigger.
You decided to put it in level only?
No, I mean this is the right size, yeah.
But something that reduces resolution.
I mean if I make it on my screen, it's the same proportions. That's basically. I mean you guys are a bit far away.
The resolution.
I think the contrast in the navigation bars.
This is not really easy to read.
The contrast between the background and the text, I think, is.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's darker. Make it darker.
Make the darker, the woods darker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also like the top navigation.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
What about the top navigation?
Also, little contrast. Like this is probably because of the projector. Because
What do you mean exactly?
When you scroll up, like the top navigation.
You cannot read the menus.
It's very small.
Though it should be also, you said this is natural resolution. 2000, how much is there?
I mean, I don't know, but if I think that's like my screen, it looks the same as
The
here.
same? Okay.
Yeah, I think if you make those white, that would be good.
Right, okay.
Are you mostly going after international clients or local?
Both.
It is clients.
I think you should make it more easy and either put it in euro also, or whatever. I don't
Because
know.
people don't understand the currency.
Well, they have to convert.
Yeah, okay, so we put it in euros and that's it.
Yeah. Most of the working spaces in Europe, even
What
usually in euros. Even if it's the
I've
dump,
experienced this, and it's extremely annoying to
And you're Bulgarian.
convert.
And you're Bulgarian.
Not for Bulgaria, but we've been to Macedonia, or not to Albania, and there was with their money, and I was like,
When the non-Bulgarians know we're very easily to convert euros to levels, so we put it just in euros. Layout, falling apart. Because it's longer list like.
You should also start with daily act, like you should give them an ascending order.
Okay.
Actually, no. Because if you make it like put the most expensive first, it sets a high bar. And then if you come lower to the middle, it doesn't feel that high.
I think this is largely irrelevant for co-working memberships.
No, research shows that effects.
Yes, but this is not a SaaS problem.
And on the web page, you want to have the middle, which is one that most people.
And also, this is a.
I mean, that is like the middle is most expensive.
Like the one that you're saying is the cheapest one because the last down there in light. See the lights on the right lower side?
Yeah.
This is the cheapest one that we intentionally put as last.
Okay, and though it's even more confusing because you have different prices.
It's months, then days, then weeks. So they should be on one line, like one structure. More structure.
I see moving about, I think.
Like, what would you imagine? How would you be imagining? We have 6 prices. How would you imagine them? By this order?
Yeah. Or reverse, but
not broken up daily, monthly. Confusing.
Yeah. So if there's a co-working desk starting office, then daily access, and then weekly access, and then tenants last month. It's completely
I don't know. Confusing on it.
What pay per use for weekly access? Pay per use?
Actually, we can remove the weekly access, put everyone on one line, and weekly access, put it down. There is an option of weekly access, hourly access, and so.
I was going to say, I think that the psychology that we apply to SaaS products is very not applicable to co-working, and so just think about people are going to negotiate with you on what they want. Like, I either want a desk or I want an office or I want a flexible membership. The price is important, but I'm going to look at all the prices because I don't think what order they go in for me has any effect on my purchase.
At least they should be in some order.
No, but the
Same layout. You can also instead of trying to do this like row like in 3, just do like a list of 6, and then have each one have a nice section with good text and spacing, and you can have like your price here, and then your text, and then
what you get
sign up for it,
and
then do the next one and the next one, and then people can just kind of scroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
People aren't afraid of scrolling.
Also, it's way more healthier for me. Like if you can scroll, it's easier to access. True. Because putting that in the layout.
On mobile, it's 1 by 1, but it's not with order. It's like the order. I will change it.
I think we have the contrast issue.
You cannot read it. We can either paste that column or just
you can use a transfer.
like a thing.
Do you think you can make them the same size in colors? Because they're
you're not good with these sizes.
But depending
on how you're dealing with inquiries on the back end, like it would make the most sense if you switch to a list layout for your pricing to have a button with each one that sends an automatic inquiry based on membership plan.
I got you.
And then at the bottom, you should have a big book a tour button. And conference prices, I think, are irrelevant on this page because someone's not thinking about conferences, they're thinking about membership. They're gonna think about.
No, we have requests only for conference.
Yeah.
We'll go to the conference.
They'll scroll up and look at the.
I got
They don't have it up there.
Yeah.
Maybe more like membership pricing
or space rental or something like that.
The other one is the gallery that is important. The other one is.
I think your ticket has been
I mean, we talked about the speed already.
Yeah, but I'm on the upstairs Wi-Fi. It's probably.
No, it's not.
They have the paper photos.
I don't know.
So this is the gallery.
Yeah.
So can you click on the image and look at it?
No.
No.
I think, yeah, I just think more of these images should make it on your homepage. Like, you can, like, if you think, I think about a homepage as like introduction to the brand, like, here's our, like, our one-liner, and we've got a big photo of niceness, and then we do epic events, some stuff about events, some picture of recent event. We have events-based rentals, and from the homepage, you can also link to the sections. Right?
Whether to put them on the homepage or just put a button to it.
I think you should have a section with a picture and some text and the button. So like, we host events, better text than this. Beautiful picture of a great event. Text about the types of events you host, a button to see our upcoming events.
This is what the caretaker talking about it. Okay.
Do you have a story section also? Like story?
No, we don't have stories.
Like the headline again.
The headline is not.
What's the difference between this and contact?
Contact is just the details. See below. This is for inquiry. Right?
Just put them on the same page. People think about this the same in the web world for sure.
Okay.
And they actually have the exact same contact on them. So they both have the same form. I'm assuming it's going to the same email address. This just has different layer tags on it.
Okay. It's okay that
yeah, why recreate the wheel? Yeah. It goes to your Facebook.
Because she clicked and she went away out of Facebook.
For me, there's always a question of like you access, then I open a different tab, and it sends me to a new website and the same tab. I will go back.
There is something like this. Now we can put force to extract all of those events automatically to
The thing is, you just lost someone from your website. So if you direct them to Facebook, they'll be like, "Oh, I got a message. Oh, there's 300 notifications." So especially if you have a link to an external website, you should always open a separate tab. And if you have an internal link, you should always make sure it's not on your tab because that's how you got your user from your website. But
the only other thing I'd say is some people don't use Facebook or have a Facebook.
That's so true.
They are annoying, but they do it.
No, they are, and the numbers are growing.
I think they can see this page anyway.
No, maybe there is already tool that's a plugin that extracts this inside.
Yeah, you can add that into
embed it. Yeah. I will do that.
These spaces that you have, the multiple spaces, they should be are they linking to a new website with that specific space?
They're not clickable.
They're not clickable. I would like to unite. We just moved the domain to unite and put the villa here, put the television one, unite them, so it's not really
Are you planning on building out like location pages? So like you have one parent website, but then you have like.
This was the initial one other website for it, but now I think it would be better also for SEO, put like basically slash Vitoshan, whatever else.
You're planning on doing that already?
Yeah. With the same format, with the same everything, especially after your comments. Not to change.
Who else has a website that they want feedback?
There's now. I was brave.
It's not an ego thing. It's like we all. I mean, my website was terrible. So.
Yeah.
There's one I can show, but it's different. It's not about co-working. It's about.
I think we should focus on
co-working.
Should we do co-working Moscow?
Let's do co-working Moscow.
All right.
You don't have to just go to the website.
So what appears to me is there's no HTTPS.
My God, I feel so insecure.
No. It's you are laughing about it, but Google is going to seriously punish you. Take care of that.
I would also never send a contact form for preparing my info into a contact form.
Yeah.
And that can actually be illegal. I'm not sure about.
By the way,
GDPR, if you want to submit contact requests to not encrypted website, you probably get in trouble.
Yeah.
Don't be so German, okay?
GDPR. No, only for the SEO thing it's worth doing it. You will be punished seriously if you want.
Okay, I mean, currently they rank the top, so the results for Coworking also.
I mean, obviously,
Well,
there's
I don't
more
know
to
how
us,
to
we
do
want to rank there, but.
You're the only one. I'm number one on Google. Coworking
Maybe just put up co-working Bansko for animation, yes.
So I think that you have to use of pictures. I personally think your first picture should be something better.
It's random.
Random. Don't do it random.
No, because if you come back, you get different pictures.
No.
Because the slider.
No, it's a nice picture. This one may be the first one for me. It's better now.
Nice one. Yeah. Also, it's always the same pictures. These guys asleep.
No, it's nice to see.
This one also not
you
bad
guys
at
have
all.
better new pictures that you guys should put up from.
We have, there are better pictures now, yeah, for sure.
Who are these people? I don't know, because this is my one. Yeah, the one before this one.
You took these pictures?
I think they've been crowdsourced.
That definitely looks like a.
Yeah. Remove all of those stock.
There are no stock.
It's a stock
There is
picture.
not a single stock image here.
That
But
one.
they look stock. They look stock.
It's not a stock image.
But it looks stock. It doesn't matter for me to plug
It's from the members. Right? I think it's from an event or something.
Stock picture, what's a bad about them? And if it's
Because
not
you
even
see the
stock,
difference
it's even better.
Put a big bar, not a stock.
There's such I think you should have more pictures of community events and barbecues and stuff.
And less snow.
Yeah. I'd say less pictures of the scenery.
Less exactly. I'm just.
This is small.
No, it's not small. Your computer is taking. You are using too high resolution.
No, because you can't.
You see now it's
Yeah,
okay.
he's
You
right.
see now it's okay. I had the same problem. It's not it.
It's not properly styled.
This is another thing.
It's not properly styled. Yeah. It's not responsive enough.
Yeah. It's never the fault of the user.
Maybe this block of membership below what's been offered. Like after you be like, no, but it's also pricing.
Yeah, I think as long as they're visible on the same screen, it's kind of okay.
All right.
Do you think that winter and summer it's easy to see? Because I almost skipped it. Summer and winter.
There is prices for summer.
This might be my.
We never
And
saw
it
it.
changes according to the.
Change it automatically during.
Yeah, this is what is done.
It's already running. Okay.
I didn't know that you had seasonal.
Actually,
Yeah, so it's very much in the
very few difference. What's more expensive by the way? The winter is more.
Winter apartment is the only thing that
I like the easy landing, most popular choice thing. It doesn't feel like a lot of text, but there's a lot to cover here. Maybe you could do more of a grid instead of like you're repeating some of the things here, right?
Like with these.
Yeah. I think this should be big. Like you have this is your news section. Yeah, we want people to move here and have babies. That was an article that I wrote.
Nice.
Yeah. It's kind of unclear that this is like media.
No, it's clear. You have the word news there.
Yeah, that's the logo. So as soon as that's not
newspaper.
You mean for SEO?
No, I just mean like if this guy wasn't here, I would have no idea that this was like a news.
You think it's testimonial?
I think this is in the media section, yes.
And I think it's looking pretty dirty because some of the logos do have transparent background.
Yeah, some
not.
Not good. Fix it. Yeah. Sorry for the sharp language.
I think the event stuff looks cool.
How do you do that? You do it automatically or you manually?
No, it's automatic when it's custom code. Only from Facebook. And we have actually two groups, so if you scroll a little bit. No, in the events. You will see that these are member-only events. You can't join, but if you follow them,
Oh, on the side, that was very hard.
Oh, you won't see it. No way you won't see it.
For example, this one is one where you can actually go, this is a funnel again.
Right.
Why
Go on
not
Facebook.
rotating this automatically?
And you click the button.
You must
to
see
see
the next one, there's only one single bullet.
I didn't see the buttons as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually hidden.
maybe make them orange, but the upper side being white.
Yeah.
That's true. Same here, but.
Orange will give you a pleasure.
Yeah.
This is also automatic progress.
Mouse over.
Do you obtain my GDPR permission to form my?
This is Bulgaria, I don't care about it.
I think this is for. This I think is something that's really interesting for it works a lot with digital nomad spaces, but could also work with other types of spaces. But like I like that. I mean, I've known about this for a while, but the guide to Bansko, so that before they have some understanding of what's going on.
This section is really nice.
Yeah, super good. This is also cool.
Yeah.
This is the format.
It's just
Yeah.
There should be an external link to that.
Open tab, yeah. But it's super useful information that makes me think that you have a lot of lots of things. That is really cool. Volunteer program. Cool. The volunteer.
this is
Nice.
Plug. And that's it.
Show our price list, show our price list.
That's the price list.
Become a member on the top.
Voice maker.
Top, top.
You can scroll to the top.
Yes. Yeah, become a member.
Why don't you have like a hover nav or something? Like a nav that's at the top.
No, one page. Wait, why all of this pricing thing not below and up there? Why not after everything you saw how cool is it? Only then put the pricing.
Two reasons. Like one, you could do it that way. Like it's totally fine. But if you want to like understand your sales funnel a little bit, if someone clicks on the become a member, goes to the pricing page, then you gotta like this is an extra layer you can measure. Say like, oh, okay, these people are more qualified. So if you're using tracking for things.
Okay, so now we have this little thing that shows the pricing, where you can sign up or you can scroll and there's an infographic that helps you with this decision. Like one of the options. Oh, and I think this is super.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not leading the discussion in some direction, but.
Yeah, but it's awesome. You're right.
It'd be better if
Yeah,
it was an image.
in text, right?
What?
Yeah.
It'd be better if it was
Alright. As part of your sign up. So everything is when you sign up.
It's creative.
Let's see one more site. What about you?
I don't have a coworking.
No, you have some Marcus?
Yeah,
Yeah, Marcus. Marcus. Put donuts.
If you want feedback.
What is laptop here? Okay, that's it.
Bravo, Marcus.
Okay.
That's it. This is our logo.
Okay.
By the way, this is the exact logo as we really look in real estate. I'll show you later.
This is a good call to action.
It's our actually our colors, okay?
Yeah.
I agree.
No, I mean like the text is good. I think it's very like. I think again this is probably too small because of my screen, but this is a perfect like branding statement, which I think is the next thing. It's either going to go in your banner or right below it. This is what we offer and what we offer it to.
We just put some words in bold, maybe, in this text.
Maybe not all CUBB.
See, all CUBBs is more difficult to us to consume.
And actually, the meta description in Google is also only capital letters.
Because it took from here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's difficult to reach. But,
Well, I think it's just pulling from here.
Yeah.
If you set a meta description on the back of your website, here, or like your title and whatnot. Well,
And there's a bunch of photos. With no people.
And they load up.
Yeah.
Nice floor.
Yeah, Swiss marble.
Marbles? Show the way.
Wow.
Don't drop your phone.
Go to the next page, the other pricing. What is this? Comics. Yeah. It's a very nice.
It indicates that it does something, right?
Yeah. It's nice. Nice.
So,
yeah.
is the column the same? Yeah, same size?
The VAT in Greece is 23%. Really?
Okay, there's 23. So
Yeah.
It says 23.
They changed it to frequently.
Yeah. So this is.
With the Greek government, you cannot follow. It's too much. Come on. Marcus, put more details here.
yeah, I think more, especially, I think that the thing that should be paid is not the price, but what I'm getting should be the title. And then all I'm seeing is I'm choosing between paying different amounts of money, and so I'm going to pay this one. But,
Yeah.
from a UI perspective, it's a.
If you pick one of them, what do you do from here? Can you do something?
Yes, there should be a button for signing up on this page. Or a link for signing up. Or, yeah, so
Getting in touch.
Whatever it's.
So you can have a button here that takes you to the contact page that says, or it opens up their email. Yeah, but right here. Yeah. So next to the pricing, people are like, cool, I'm ready to buy. You don't want them to have to search for how to sign up. So.
Do you have a good example to show for that, maybe? You can just click on
Let's
text.
see. I mean, their website's not fantastic, but I think that their pricing page calls to action are pretty.
Or even better, each column.
That's also. Yes. They are outside Chicago.
Okay.
So each one of these, day pass, price, get,
Yeah, put it.
and then it goes to Adam. So if you don't have a backend like system or something that you're using, it's just an invite form. You can just link it to the form, the contact form, or even just do like the mail to email address, although I really hate it. It's always a good mail for me instead of my actual one.
Yeah.
Or you can even just have a big text there that says, email us at this email for inquiries.
No, put a form. It's an easy form. It will say to your mail with some caption. That's it.
A little text right here, what you want, what you.
Put the blog.
And you have blog.
That's in Greek.
Oh, okay.
But you don't put a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's always. You should update it more. Or get rid of it. Because if I hadn't seen a post in like the last month, I think that you're not active. Which makes me think maybe your business is failing. So you can take it down or keep it up to date.
You just fired the person.
Yeah.
Communication, it's the contact, right?
I like your loading. Thing. The thing that goes up
And now it's in Greek, yeah.
But contact.
Yeah.
So there's just a bug between the blog and the, because the blog's increased, so it's showing the create page.
The maps.
It's probably just, it says it can't load correctly.
The maps can always be on the front page, you know, also.
And then
Show people what you're located, show them it's right by the water. Awesome.
And what, this should be deleted.
And then pages just just put in contact who writes this. Do you have to put in
Is this in WordPress? Is this in WordPress?
English.
Which?
No, this will change.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at least you have Greek and English, which cannot be skipped for many German working spaces that I have visited their websites, and they're only in German. Like
Yeah.
Monkeys,
put the working hours in others with instead of interesting links. When do you work, location, other. It anyway.
It's nice to have that.
One more. Our website.
This is not a co-working space.
I try to make it
Cheating, you're cheating.
I would like to be like on Stephen.
We send you an invoice.
Actually, landing page. So, how much of products?
It's overlapping.
I think it's probably just the resolution.
Yeah, no,
Something to be fixed.
it's no problem. Just look at the resolution.
Not the same.
Yeah, but it still shouldn't break as a low resolution projector. It's fine.
Well, it's nice we have nothing to say. Professional, it's your thing, the website.
That looks good. That's do your best work anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, like this.
By the way, can you check all the entrepreneurs? I want to see comments. His opinions on how entrepreneurs.org. It's one word. It's a little bit long, but it's check. And what it's not optimized yet. I'm curious to find out your the user.
See, I like that statement that tells everyone exactly what they're there for on that page.
Yeah.
So you know exactly where you're.
Everybody else. So we're wrapping it up. Commercial.
Do you have like from past events?
Well, I was planning if it seems to be like written down.
The end.
But
I like that better. That's always good.
I think one thing you should add here is like, when's the next event?
oh yeah,
Like,
I feel like
on the homepage, the next events are. Coming up.
yeah.
That looks nice.
So if I'm dealing with people, and for me, I would prefer to see pictures. Pictures.
Now there's another maybe
Not the animation.
Not the six.
This is upcoming events, right? Last event.
Okay, guys, shall we have a small break and do the wrap up afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the wrap up.
What's the wrap up?
I think that you can do like your homepage, if your homepage is already kind of telling what you're about.
That's good for a search engine imaging. It's trust building. Trust building tool.
The thing is about networking events, it's really important side because there want to learn more to be about things which is more.
Usually, I think about about page is like how was the company founded, stuff like this.
Who's behind it?
Yeah.
Put a picture section in the first page.
Yeah. I'm not taking feedback.
You see, this is feedback.
Actually, basically, you actually learn what you need to do.
Thanks, guys.
This one, let's see what happened then.
Okay, so I don't know what happened exactly, but okay, good. So in the morning we had ways to promote your space. Whose session was that? Very good. You want to, in 1 minute, quickly wrap up what happened there?
Yeah.
You don't want, okay, then we make you.
Yes,
No, it was very useful actually. There were some ideas laid on the ground here. Social media, word of mouth, what else?
I think include the community and make it specific to the people.
Local solutions.
Specializing.
Address the values for the people. Something like this. Okay, very good. Awesome. Thank you.
very ego building.
So the parallel section was profit versus GVA.
Yeah, so basically we talked about more general valuation of co-working and came up with different ideas like revenue per square meter, the general increase in happiness, and it's also like some, yeah. The other one was like more like breaking even in a certain amount of time, but then also contribution to the main business. So basically, working as a side business and contributes to the increased revenue of the main business and may not make money. The ability to grow. So maybe not making money, but like growing like crazy, like we work. The other idea is like take the monthly revenue and then multiply it by 24. I think that was like an easy rule of thumb valuation idea for SaaS business, if I remember correctly.
We don't know how accurate it is.
Yeah, like
we like the way it sounded.
Yeah, like basically I know down times X, right? So that will have come up with a story for the X. Or another idea is like that co-working is just used as a means to increase the value of the property.
Good one, very good.
Stays in. And then of course we had the special case of Bansko, where it was like mostly geared toward increase the happiness of the founders. No, but also like other means for Bansko, where it's like bringing people to the city that otherwise wouldn't come, like or people investing in the area or tourism, because they have value to the area. Yeah, that was all like increase the value to the ecosystem in general.
Super, thank you very much. The second section was community building versus community burning.
Community building is mine. We discussed about all the various opportunities, how to bring value to the community, how to develop the co-working itself, how to make it extremely useful for the people and get them involved and engaged in the co-working itself. It was really an interesting discussion. we are happy that we can dinner on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, very good. Second, you want to add something to that?
I just checked my notes, but in general, that's we saw that there were a lot of goals and interest in collaborating, but it was difficult to put in written.
Yeah. Okay. I think in another session we solved that problem. Yeah, we go there. We come there. Okay. So brand building was a parallel session.
Yeah, so what that comes down to is basically that you need to be part of the community that you're trying to attract. I think that was in one of your big learnings shared with us. And yeah, that you need to know your story, that you need to know where you want to go, and that you need to find that little something, or special something that you can rally people around. And that's something like communication just supports brand identity that you eventually will build, and it's all that awareness.
Good, awesome. Thank you. Then the next one was in terms of collaboration between co-working spaces, co-working space operators, and cooperation with other spaces. Okay.
Actually, what I said was about
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Because it was shared with
Yeah, for the cooperation, yeah, it's a huge subject. We got a lot of various areas in cooperation and partnerships between different co-working spaces that really provided interesting discussions. That's it.
So basically, one big thing was like collaborating in terms of letting members grow between spaces, which we then identified that maybe that's the hardest for events, but also like exchanging employees so that they learn from each other were kind of ideas, and also like collaborating on making like a regional offers. For example, trade electrification, one to learn about more, and then you can basically provide the whole package of things to do, where to stay, what to see. Yeah, and also to the point of members, one important insight was like let members drive your decisions to collaborate with. Not try to come up with spaces, but like look where your members go, and basically approach these spaces and like, okay, maybe we go to these. Yeah, so that were my notes.
Very good. Yeah, I think also one was like better negotiation leverage when collaborating together. I think was another one.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Awesome.
And no more visa programs.
No more visa program was another one. Very good. Well said.
Only real visas, please. Just make getting a full game. That's one.
I think the parallel session, co-working success, we skipped that one, so there is nothing. Then we had lunch. What did you learn during lunch?
That was a very quick lunch.
It took some time.
I think it all almost looked the same.
Yeah, what we learned that we've got a rock star in the group. That's what we learned.
Okay, very good.
We had this guitar here.
Awesome. So we have a jam session tonight.
We are
very good. Awesome. And in the afternoon we had walk the talk. How you started?
Yeah, apparently this is my first subject.
Somebody likes to talk.
I can.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Terence talking about how the spaces that been involved with or that we currently run got started and what the challenges were in the beginning. And that I shared was the making things too complicated with our pricing models and everything. And you, from Office Club, you shared that you maybe needed better marketing in the beginning because you waited a month for one person to show up. Yeah, after a really big opening party. I think we also maybe established that the opening party is one of the least important things to do for getting your initial numbers.
Especially if the guests break all the plates, you know.
It's possible to move locations in 2 weeks and still open on time.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have a co-working company.
If you have your arena, then you can do it, you know. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Collaborate internally and compete externally turned out into a different session.
The discussion whether we should form an alliance across co-working spaces to create economies of scale, to lobby to the government, to create benefits for the users and give other things.
And all participants agreed actually to collaborate, which is a success story.
And see you in the next discussion.
Sign a formal alliance.
Woman that loves Kelvin.
We do it. We do it.
I'm not sure about the alliance anymore.
Awesome. I like it. Don't go away, Serkan. I think the next one is yours. That's the one which is difficult to read.
We didn't do it.
It
was too difficult to read.
Co-working niches. So co-working niches.
That was mine. We talked about working. So not really.
Yeah.
You are one lazy co-worker.
Everybody, the point of the session is to tell people who weren't there about it.
No,
Timo was upstairs. We talked about all kinds of good co-working issues. We talked about Pinky Works, and which is in my neighborhood, and not actually in the neighborhood.
And everyone are planning to go.
But you don't have to
No
rest,
tourists,
so,
no tourists.
No,
we go for the alliance to get into the alliance.
We talked about
Pictures of
co-working spaces, food co-working spaces, blockchain
Yeah.
spaces for parents.
Makers.
So it was basically professions for those needs, lifestyle, and interests.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting aspect.
Red District co-working.
And it's not just about niches, but also on lifestyle.
But there was actually one, someone mentioned the beer co-working space.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a beer co-working. I like that one very much.
And the village, and to take an abandoned village in Bulgaria and make it co-village, co-living, agriculture, a lot of absolutely. Doable. Yeah.
Different kind of work.
Okay, very good. Awesome. Ridiculous websites. What's going on there?
It was a good session.
Well, we looked at one example website that was posted in the Coworking Leadership Slack recently, and kind of gave our thoughts on, mostly as an exercise to start the process, and found some things that should be improved, and kind of talked about the general structure of the Coworking website. And then we went through everybody's websites, and everybody gave feedback. It was actually really cool. And so we went through the networking Coworking website, gave some good feedback out. The Coworking website.
Very good. What is the CTM missing on the first page? Or what did you say actually? The
We needed better header sliders, and it needs to be HTTPS, and for data protection reasons also, and then there was a bunch of them.
Okay, I see, I get it.
No, it's an easy job. We liked a lot of things about it.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, we went through.
Okay, very cool. So upstairs we saw how do you go about problems? So what solutions can you apply? What is a problem? And we talked about different scenarios. Do we kick out members? Do we have rules in place? How many rules do we have? And we learned that a space in Malaysia amended the rule set and always extended it. And I think that's an interesting one. So by the end, maybe you have a huge rule set, right? and you are prepared for any case that can happen, right? But do you execute it? What happens with this rule set? I wonder, like, is it really, do you go about it, and do you really chase the problems down, and how do you handle it? How do you handle bad people and stuff like this? And I think this is a very interesting point, like how you can do this, and we discussed this in the experiences we gathered.
What is some example of what can be done? What you
in one of the cases, the membership hasn't been extended, which is an interesting one. We at Coworking Unconference, we had the problem once that there was actually a relationship, like it was a romantic relationship between two members, but they also had a business relationship. And
what's wrong? It can be the dream of babies.
This is absolutely true, but unfortunately, it went bad. And then, as we say in Austria, for every possible thing. Exactly. So, and then, like, as we say in Austria, they try to wash their dirty clothes within our co-working space, within our community. And this backfired a lot. And unfortunately, Matthias and I haven't been present at that time when this happened exactly. And so, and then we decided from remote, like, do we go public with it? And do we discuss this in our community? Shall we not discuss it? Kind of backfire. But I think, like, it's always when you're always happy, you have always happy things to share. That's really nice, But when bad things happen, I think, like, we should also share this.
It's an interesting gossip. But what happened in the end? Like,
actually, when we shared it, we got also bad feedback. We said, like, we're not interested. Like, why would you share this? But once,
it was a guy, right?
But, no, it was other people. It was other community members. But then the guy who actually was involved, he left the community.
And she stayed.
Yeah. But she's then,
But not because of her. So she won, actually.
Yeah. Anyways, but so it's like, I think the learning of it is like to discuss this and to share these stories, in a way, because we all learn from it, and it makes us, like, stronger by the end. And I think this is the learning of the session. Okay, that's the wrap up. Is anybody says something or?
Let me say a few things. First of all, I think it was a great day. I really enjoyed it. I got to a lot of conferences. With these small meetings, I get much more than from a big conference normally. I hope to see a lot of you at Coworking in Europe and Amsterdam anyways. For tomorrow. So initially our plan for tomorrow was that we started a bit later, so that tonight we think of this line